So why am I doing this? This is really something where I can help people and where I can help people with the situation that's coming up. So why should anybody listen to me? Well, it's a good question, right? Well, let's put it this way. If you want to learn something, do you go to somebody who's never done it before? Somebody who has great theories but really doesn't have the experience? Or do you go to somebody who has done it before and has done it successfully? Somebody who can maybe pass on what they learned on the journey. Now, did it always go perfectly for me? No, it didn't. It certainly didn't, but I learned something every time, and there were a few pretty good successes in there.
Let the century dawn, without riders point just as Doris had gone. A tangle of treaties held nations in thrall, and stacked just like dominoes waiting to fall.
And quite a few times I actually managed to increase my income. And a couple of times I earned 2 or 3 times more after I made a jump from what I had before, even though I was out of a job at that point. So I think I do have a few things that I can pass on to people. And one of the things that I can say is it is always scary. You never know what's going to happen. There's no guarantees ever. One of the things that I really do have to offer is all these things that you shouldn't do. I wish somebody had told me in the beginning. But if you have a certain system, then you have so much more chances to get to the other side unscathed. So I'm watching this conference with Peter Diamandis and Tony Robbins, and they're talking about how they are so concerned about all these workers losing their jobs because of digitalization and globalization and automation. And a lot of these people have never done anything else before. They've done the same job for 10, 20, 30 years and have never had to work themselves into anything else. And all of a sudden, everything goes away, right? And then it struck me, this is actually something that I'm uniquely qualified to deal with, because it's happened to me so many times that due to some external circumstance that I had absolutely no control over, I had to find a new way to make a living. And I had to find a new way in somehow. I mean, these were circumstances like loss of a visa, for example, or a writer's strike for a year, or federal versus local politics. Well, simply local politics, and there was nothing I could do about it. I just had to find a way forward. Why is this happening to me all this time? You know, every time I make it into somewhere, something happens and I'm going to have to move on. I mean, and yeah, it had a good thing because I've got a system now. You know, every time I have to work myself into a new job, I have a system. And man, I've done so many different jobs. Negotiator, the legal counsel, and then after 3 years, I went and worked in projects. One project was digitization, for example. You know, the other one had to do with systems that needed to be connected and everything. I wasn't a programmer, and all of a sudden I needed to sign off SQL. Just to give you an idea, I've worked as a dancing paper bag in a parade, as a singer and as an actress, as legal counsel in a global bank, as negotiator for Goldman Sachs, as change manager, as derivatives lawyer, as a transaction manager, as accountancy payable clerk, as an extra, as animal handler, as parachute packer for the army. Yeah, and I worked in the government in Canada. I worked in, as I said, in investment banking. I worked in entertainment. I worked in, I think I was even a waitress a couple of times, a really bad one. I did paper in half folder in a factory once. That was an interesting experience. And believe it or not, they were not happy with my work. It was the only job that I'd never really excelled in, paper in half folder. I think that is going to be one of those jobs that are certainly going to be automated. I mean, can you imagine? Get up every day for 20, 30 years and fold papers in half? There were people in there who literally had done this for 20 years. I mean, I would have gone mad. I went mad after 3 weeks. I mean, how many people really love their job nowadays? How many people wake up on Monday morning and think, oh, great, I can go to work again? You know, probably not quite that many. And the point is that with all these job changes, once you're, you know, in your 40s or maybe even in your 50s, you're much more aware of who you are and what you really want to do. Because when you're in your 20s, it happens a lot of times that you do what other people want you to do, what your parents want you to do, what they expect from you, or what you think they expect from you. It may not be the exact job, but they may have some sort of idea that you should go to university or that you should make a certain amount of money, for example. Or there are simply pressures of life and you don't have any other training. So you may not have the ability to do the job yet that you're really meant to do because you don't have the background yet. If you take a look at all the things that are beautiful, all the things that come your way that you couldn't necessarily expect. And sometimes there are these, if you really look, there are these chance encounters with people that you will think of in decades to come. And sometimes they're very, very short, and sometimes they are longer, and sometimes they completely change your life. And a couple of things he said directly to me, and they just totally hit it on the spot. I thought, how on earth can he know that? So I thought, okay, why is he doing it? He really does seem to care. It doesn't seem to be just a marketing thing. And that really got me in a way. There was so much love and there's so much genuine caring in there. It just reached me on a level that nobody had reached me before, certainly in a long time. So something happened that day. So after I saw Tony at the NAC, as I said, I lost 42 pounds. And that was the first step for me to get fit again and get all the energy that I needed in order to make changes in my life. And then there was another change I had to make because I was basically still stuck in my home, right? And I need to get out of that situation. And one of the things that he said in the talk was that people do more for other people than they do for themselves. So I thought, okay, how can I do something for other people? And that got me out of the house. And then I decided, okay, so what am I going to do? What else can I contribute? The first thing I did is I went to all kinds of seminars. And then I started coaching. And then it turned out I had been doing this for such a long time without actually realizing it. And I found so much joy in it. It was just so beautiful to see how just with, one suggestion or something, you can help people find a different perspective on life. And all of a sudden, everything changes. So that was a real revelation. I had such a feeling of accomplishment afterwards. I flew home. I mean, I was sitting in the car, I was whooping, I was singing, and I thought, this is it. And this is what you sometimes have, even if initially it's it doesn't go the way that you think. But if you're doing the right thing, if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, what you're meant to do, something inside you knows. And something inside you sings. I mean, it was beautiful. You can make a difference by being Martin Luther King or by being Nelson Mandela. Or you can make a difference by being the school teacher who put them on their path. The school teacher is not going to be the one who's going to be famous, but who says that history would be the same if she hadn't been there. You never know what you put into motion. It can be good or bad, you cannot control it, but only because you're not famous, only because you're not rich, doesn't mean that your life didn't have a purpose. If you're open to it, if you're open to doing the right thing, to doing good, to standing up for the right thing, then amazing things can happen. Sometimes you will know, sometimes you won't. It is the experiences and the relationships that you have on the way that really make you think, oh my God, this was really beautiful. This was really something that I wouldn't have wanted to have my life without. And especially if you made a difference for someone. Quite a few times it was actually very lucky, especially that time in Netherhaven where I got stuck on that muck heap with a caravan and my pets. It was the most beautiful accident of my life because I was stuck there. I was parachuting for 9 months. I was writing a book and I was surrounded by all these animals that I love. It was one of the nicest years ever, really. And that was all because there was a hang-up with a visa. So I had to stay there. I didn't have a choice. And my landlady was very nice. I still visited her for, I think, like 10 years afterwards. Just showed up and occasionally did a little bit and helped her a little bit and everything. It was a beautiful year. It was really nice. So a lot of times if something happens, it's really about the journey. And that's how I understood what people mean when they say it's about the journey. Because it really is. Nowadays, all these new technologies that are coming up, they are actually helping the environment. They're actually cleaning up the environment. There's so much technology out there now that can help us save the planet. And if you're trying to find a new job for somebody, and they have some sort of skills in that area, you can just as well find them a job that is really good for the environment, is really good for them, and makes them feel good, because they know that they're doing something really important. That is the beauty of this time that we are in. There are so many opportunities out there. If you are a really creative person, there is so much out there for you. And there are so many more customers that are coming online as well. There are billions of customers that are coming online in the next few years who will be connected online in the next few years and who all want to buy something. So I'm getting really excited when I look at these things, and I'm plugged into a few of these networks where they're saying, what the future holds. And, it can be scary, but there's also some real opportunities out there. So the future is beautiful if you make it so. But what you have to do is you have to get off your BU-double-T in order to do it, because it will not come to you. You have to get out there. And as most actors say, 80% of life is showing up and looking for the opportunities out there. All right, so thank you for tuning in again. And we've got a few videos that are really quite interesting that may be of use to you. So they're more of an introduction to the series, an introduction of more general principles of what to look out for change. And then if you're more interested in the system that we have as well, there's going to be a little bit of an introduction at the end of it. And then you can decide whether you want to take a look at the system as well. It would be beautiful to have you. We would love to help you. We would love to discuss things with you and how your life is and how we can help. Through coaching or seminars, it just came online. I would love to have you. I would love to see you. Please do write us. Write us your impressions. Write us any suggestions you have. What you want to see. What would really help you. What you've seen in your neighborhood maybe. So maybe I'll see you sometime in the future. If not, maybe I'm going to see you in some other seminar that I may be attending myself. And the future is beautiful. So just look out for it. There is light at the end of the tunnel. If you're not seeing it, you will. Thank you very much, and see you next time.